Welcome everyone to this demonstration of mobile approvals and routing using Timberscan Go for Sage 300 CRE. In this session, we'll be looking at how you can approve invoices from anywhere using this application. And Mike touched on this a little bit. This app is easy to use. It's got a sleek interface and is simple to navigate, and you'll see that in just a moment. It's fully integrated with Timberscan and your Sage system, and it's included with Timberscan. So there's no cost to set it up and no cost to use it. It's just part of the system. Now, I'm going to give you a tour of the features available in the current version, and then I'll hand the reins over to Mike, who'll give you a sneak peek at the exciting new features we'll be adding very soon. But for those of you new to Timberscan, I just wanted to take a moment to give you an idea of the overall Timberscan system and, most importantly, its integration with Sage. And then we'll switch gears and I'll give you a tour of the software. Now, Timberscan adds this routing and approval, this automated routing process to your Sage system. So it extends your accounting system, and it's driven by images being brought in. And Mike touched on this. One piece of automation which clients love is called that email monitoring. So we can automatically extract invoices from an email inbox, or multiple if you have them. You can also drag and drop, or you can scan documents if they're coming in hard copy. So we call that acquiring documents. Now, the next logical step is the data entry. Now, an important note here is Timberscan's reading your Sage database. So it knows your jobs, your cost codes, your GL accounts, your vendors, and if you're in property management, it knows your properties. So the idea is that the accounting department will get some basic information into Timberscan regarding those invoices so that it knows who to route these invoices to. Now, Mike also mentioned Capture, optical character recognition software. If you missed that presentation, definitely go to our website and check that out. An amazing way to save time. Now, once the invoices are routed to the appropriate people, this is the application we're going to zero in on. You can get an email notification if you want that. Now, you'll log into Timberscan from anywhere, and you'll see the invoices that were routed to you. We can route in a hierarchy, in other words, an order in which invoices go out to several people. Now, when you log in, you can add information, add a cost code, make changes based on your license. You don't need to know all the coding at this stage. Now, one important note is if you have people in your company that don't currently have Timberscan licenses and you want them to be able to access them, to be able to review them and approve, they do need a license. So you'll need to pick up those users, set the permissions. Now they can log in, review, and approve. Invoices will then go to final review. Accounting will double check everything, post to Sage. At this point, the financial transaction is updated, the images are attached, and you'll go ahead and generate your payments to your vendors. So that's just an example of a workflow. You may have various workflows, and they're flexible, and they're defined by you. All right, let's switch gears, and I'm going to give you a tour of the software. You should be able to see Timberscan Go in the top left. So there are going to be three buckets, if you will, or three queues of invoices. Now, this is cloud-based. I'm logged into the desktop application. You can be logged in from a phone, an iPad, or a tablet. Now, I've got my primary invoices. The alternate queue is if you're approving invoices on someone else's behalf if they're out, and anything I've put on hold. Now, the first thing you'll notice, and I'm just going to shrink the screen a little bit to give you an overall view. Okay, so you'll notice my invoices are on a dashboard. So across the screen, the first thing up top I want to point out, you can sort invoices by date, by job number, by vendor name. You can also do a quick search. So if I just wanted to zero in on my Dallas invoices, I could do that. Now, each invoice has a quick little snapshot. So I've got the invoice number, I've got the vendor name, and I've got the date. Now, a really cool thing with this dashboard is that I can approve straight from here if I want. So if I've looked at this invoice earlier, I'm good with it, I can approve it straight from here. If I want to just double check everything, I can click on Summary, and it gives me a nice little snapshot. So I can see who's approved it before me, the notes. This is a really nice feature. So if you're collaborating with one another and trying to get somebody's attention, really nice way to do that. I can see how this has been distributed, and if I'm good with it, I can approve it straight from here. Now, let's go ahead and head into the actual document because I do need to add some coding and make some changes. Now, the notes will automatically pop up on my screen. So a really nice way to just keep everybody on the same page, and I have to close out of that. Now, any documents that have been attached to my invoice, such as supporting documents, a purchase order, a lien waiver, a receiving ticket, those will all be here in my thumbnail. So I'll be able to see that. I've got some page edits across the top. So if I want to zoom in or zoom out, I can do that. Now, annotations are pretty cool, especially if people are used to approving and putting sticky notes on documents or handwriting. This is just a really nice way to give the approvers still have that capability, but this is based on user permissions. So the administrator would give this user the rights to use sticky notes, and if I have that permission, I can go ahead and put a note on here or handwrite. I've got my header information here on the right. Now let's head up to the top. So I'm going to take you into distributions first. Now, I'm going to just give you high level. I'm going to scroll across, and I can see that these dollars have been distributed over 3 lines. And there's the money right there, the first 1,000, 100, 100. Now, just at a glance, I can see that this has been split up over one job with 2 cost codes and then a second job with no cost code. So I know that that's my job. I need to fill that in. But before I do that, I want to just zero in on this commitment, and I've got this little information button, and this is pretty cool. This is a live drill down to Sage showing me the full financial picture. So the original commitment amount, what's been invoiced against this commitment in Sage, what's in the approval process in Timberscan, and the balance. Now, any drop-down menus that I have access to that are not grayed out, I can just simply click and choose whatever item I need. Now, the information button for the job, now this is really cool. This is a drill down to all the costs that have been applied to this job for invoices, and it gives me the full picture. So the revised contract amount, what's been billed against this job to date, what's in the approval process, and the balance. Now, what's really neat about this is I've got full invoice detail. I can scroll, and you can see there's multiple pages here. So there's 107 invoices that have been coded to this job so far, and they may be in multiple places. So what's cool about this, because we're reading your Timberscan system, so this is just an extension of your Timberscan system, invoices that might be already posted in Sage, whether open or fully paid, are going to be pulled into this inquiry for you. Now, what's really neat is I can expand here and actually see the distribution of the dollars on this particular invoice. And if there's an image, I can just tap on that, and it'll bring the image up for me. Just give that a minute to render, and there it is. All right, and if I want to filter and just zero in on a vendor in particular, I can go ahead and just tap on that on my phone or click on it on my desktop, and I can go ahead and filter for that vendor. All right, now let's carry on, and I've got that same information tool for the cost code. There's that live drill down, the name of the cost code, what's been billed against it to date, and the balance, and so on. Now, after I've reviewed everything, I know that I need to fill in this cost code, so I'll just go ahead and click on that, choose what I need to choose, and I'm done. If I need to add a line, I can certainly do that if I need to redistribute these dollars. My capability in this application is dependent on the permissions that I've been given by the administrator. So all of the features across the top depend on what I've been given permission to do. Now, I've got permission to approve, so that's great. If I'm done, I can do that. Another place I can view notes, I can add a note. A really nice feature is the ability to reject. So if this invoice was routed to me by mistake, I can reject it, or if there's a problem with it, it goes back to data entry or a designated individual, and I'm required to put in a note. So really nice way to keep everybody informed about what the problem was, and it'll go on the audit trail. If I've been given the ability to reroute, I can do that. I can put this invoice on hold and deal with it later. And one feature I don't have enabled is my email function. I can email right from my phone. If I've got a problem and I want to email the vendor or I want to email my team, I can do that straight from here. And then finally, the summary button, the exact same snapshot I showed you from the dashboard, giving me the full picture. I can approve, and I'm off to the races. Now, that's a good overview of the desktop version. Now, I'm going to see if I can do a little magic trick here for you. Just stand by, and let's see if I can mirror my phone and show you the app from my iPhone. All right, so you should see that on your screen, and I'm just going to tap into my primary invoices. You're going to see exactly what I showed you on the desktop version, except you'll notice that my invoices are stacked. So that's really the only difference. The layout's a little different, and I'm just going to scroll down to that power equipment, and I'm going to actually tap into the invoice itself. Now, just a couple little things here, and then I'm going to switch gears and hand Mike the reins. So there's that dialog box. I'll close out of it. Now, the only thing that's different is the layout. All the features are the same. Now, I'm going to just tap on this little ellipses button here at the bottom, and when I tap on that, you'll see the exact same features except they're stacked. So I can just go ahead, tap on my distributions, and there we go. And I would actually, and I think I'm locked on portrait, but I would go to landscape, and that'll just give you a better view. All right, so that brings us to the end of what's in the current version, and now I'm going to hand the reins over to Mike, and he's going to take you into what's coming soon.
Okay, Sandra, thank you very much. Outstanding. So let me see if I can share my screen, and we'll continue here. Okay. Hide that. All right, you should be able to see Timberscan Go. Sandra, I'll just double check to make sure you can see this.
Yep, we got it.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. All right. So next generation Timberscan. And, you know, for some folks who are currently using Sage 300 CRE, and you want to continue to use the application for an extended period of time, and want to be able to continue to use Timberscan. Well, this particular application that we're all familiar with, that has all of the various Timberscan tools across the top, will always be available to you for as long as you want to use it. However, if you decided that you want to use Timberscan but use it in more of a cloud environment integrated with Sage 300 CRE, we're taking all of the Timberscan tools, everything that's over here, and we are incorporating them into Timberscan Go. So what Sandra was demonstrating is the fact that Timberscan Go was designed initially as an approval app, if you will, so that you could be anywhere and approve from anywhere, whether it's on a phone, as she demonstrated, or if you were on an iPad or you were sitting at your desktop. But now, given the ability that we want to be able to take all of the features of Timberscan, what you'll be able to do is come in here, open up the side menu, And all of the various features of Timberscan are going to be available to you from here. One of the things that we've done is we are now in the final stages of the acquire and data entry features of Timberscan. So if I go in and choose the acquire button, basically I'm doing a lot of the same things that I would do if I were sitting at my desktop. So I would get in here, regular invoices, whatever the invoice type is, and then I go through and I select my files to be able to acquire, and then I can acquire my invoices through Timberscan Go. So the acquire features, and this will also be including the email monitoring and the acquire automation tools, are incorporated into Timberscan Go. The second thing is the ability to enter invoices through Timberscan Go. So at the beginning of the day today, one of the things I was talking about was working virtually. And we want to be able to provide the ability for anyone to be able to work from wherever they are, regardless of what that function is. So we started with, I call it the field, where we provided a number of tools for people to be able to approve invoices, to be able to transmit credit card transactions, to be able to transmit their timesheets. But now we're trying to take that same concept with Timberscan so that if I wanted to work from a cloud environment and do all of the Timberscan functions, I can do so. So I could be sitting at home, and now that my invoices have been acquired for me, I can go in, I can call up my invoices, and it calls up those invoices just like it would on my desktop. And then I just pull them up, and I'm able to start processing. And all of these tools here are designed and lay out in the exact same format that they do in regular Timberscan. So as I'm searching my vendors and what have you, I go select my vendor, and I just continue forward here. I put in my invoice number and so on and so forth. Now, we are also building the capture program in here so that a lot of that information, once it gets acquired, will be automatically populated. What we're doing, though, if you saw any of the presentations that we did on Tuesday, and I believe Sandra did one of them on capture, and she also showed a demonstration of cloud capture, that's what we're incorporating into Timberscan Go. That new capture tool that actually is, I think, easier to set up templates, quicker, and allows for what we call smart extraction, where it will start to find information on the invoice, and it will start to extract it automatically, even if you don't have a template. So, for example, the smart extraction tool could read this invoice, populate the invoice number, because it recognizes that that's where the invoice number is located on the invoice. So we've talked about acquire. We talked about data entry. We've also built the inquiries into Timberscan Go. So all of the inquiries, the job cost inquiry, the invoice status inquiry, all built the same way. So now I can come in here, I can do all of my queries. Now, you can also use the inquiry tool if you want for from within the approval screen. So what a lot of times an approver wants to be able to do is, as they're looking at job information, they want to be able to touch the query tool and be able to open up a job cost inquiry for that particular job. And the system allows you to do that in the approval screen today. Now, what's coming next? We're going to be putting Timberscan AIM. All of the AIM features are coming to Timberscan Go. I would say that if we were to look at a roadmap, and we now have the ability to approve invoices, acquire, and data entry are in the final stages. We're getting close to the point of looking for early adopters on acquire and invoice entry. The inquiries are already built. Next up will probably be AIM, I believe, and a lot of the AIM features are now going to be embedded into Timberscan Go, and then we'll start transmitting all of the other features of Timberscan into Go as well. Now, again, I just want to reiterate the fact that if you want to continue to use Timberscan in its current environment, you can do so. That's not going to change. All this is going to do is allow you to use Timberscan in a web environment, in the cloud, if you will. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to log out. There are a couple more things that I want to show before we finish. and I'm going to log in as an administrator. Now, we talked about this the other day, but one of the things that we also built into the application is the new notification system. So basically, the way that Timberscan works today is that when I enter an invoice, once I accept the invoice and I hit the Finish button, Timberscan sends an email notification to the approver to let them know that they have invoices to approve. So what the notification system is going to allow me to do is to basically kind of change that concept. And it will allow me to control when I want to be able to send notifications to approvers. But it does more than just that. So if I come in here and I said, let me go into Timberscan, what I want to do is every day at a certain time each day, I want to be able to send an email to anyone that received an invoice, for example. Or I can set it up on an interval where I say every hour, if someone receives an invoice, send them a notification to let them know that they've received that invoice. So it's flexible. You don't have to just be restricted to sending invoices and sending an email notification at the time that you finish an invoice. You can use the flexibility of deciding when you want to send those notifications. But it goes further. It also does alerts. So what I can do is I could say, again, we'll use Timberscan as our example here, and I could say, okay, what I want to do is at 8 o'clock each morning, I want to send an email notification to anyone that has had an invoice sitting with them for 5 days or more. Or let's say that it's within 5 days of the payment date or 3 days of the discount date. And again, these are all controllable. So I can come in here, I can make modifications. I could say, no, let's not do it every 5 days. Let's do it every 3. Now, the reminder doesn't necessarily have to just go to that person who has that particular invoice, for example. The reminder could also go to that person's supervisor. So obviously, we're now getting to the point where, we can send those alerts out and, someone could be looking and say, well, how come Mike has had these invoices sitting with him for X number of days and hasn't done anything with them? So we're becoming more proactive with these notifications and allowing for not only the person who's supposed to be approving, but also anyone that needs to be able to see them. The other thing that's nice, too, is that you notice how the reminder type is not just for Timberscan. It's also for AIM documents. So anyone that has an AIM document routed to them, they can also get those reminders, and they can also get that initial notification. And you can design whatever that message is that you want to send. So for invoices or what have you, you can determine the reminder, what the initial notification is, and you can say what it is. So if you want to be a little bit sarcastic and you want to let somebody know that you're not happy about the fact that they've been sitting on invoices for a while, you can get pretty creative here. All right, so let's look at one other thing. And let's go back over here for a second. The other thing that you can also do is you can basically, when you get an email, you now have a hyperlink that you can click on. And as soon as you click on that hyperlink, it takes you right into the application. So you're getting a notification that gets sent out at a certain point in time. You click on the hyperlink, it opens up Timberscan Go, and away we go. And that pun was intended. Okay, so we've got a few minutes left, and that's basically what we wanted to cover in terms of new. Again, I'll just make this comment one more time. If you want to continue to use Timberscan in its current environment, you're able to do so for as long as you want. But if you decide you want to start using Timberscan in a cloud environment using the browser, all of those tools are being built into Timberscan Go, and you'll be able to use it that way if you want. And I believe I'm going to turn it back to Sandra because she has one more thing that she wanted to cover.
Great. Thanks, Mike. And if you stop sharing your screen, I think the audience will see the PowerPoint.
I will do that.
Great. So just a quick wrap up and we'll go to questions. The licenses in Timberscan Go are the same as in Timberscan. So it's not a reduced capability. It's the same permissions are available, if you will. The login is not separate, so it's just one main login. This is browser-based with SSL, and it's encrypted communication for security. Again, no additional costs, easy to set up, easy to learn, and hopefully you were able to see that it's easy to use. And we currently have 457 clients using it. So if you'd like to get a hold of it, just contact us on our website, and someone from support will reach out to you, and we can get that set up. Now, I think we've got some questions and a couple of minutes left. Emily, what did we have come in from the audience?
Okay, let's see. We have, looks like it's being answered right now. The Timberscan Go show compliance warnings when entering or approving invoices?
If it doesn't today, it will very soon, because all of the tools that are currently built into Timberscan will be available in Timberscan Go, so the compliance warnings will pop up.
Right. If Mike, I can add to that. Yeah, the compliance warnings don't currently show up. It is on our roadmap to do it, but the overcommitment warnings do.
Okay. Gary, do you see anything else sitting in Jean's folder right now? My screen's refreshing. Well, there's a bunch of questions we can read.
Yeah, Mike, you have a few in your folder if you want to take a look at those while we're looking.
Can final review be done in Timberscan Go? There's one.
Yes, that is coming. That's on our roadmap and could be here as soon as the end of the year.
Is there no additional charge for Timberscan Go?
There is no additional charge for Timberscan Go. It's part of Timberscan.
Yep. All right, we're right at 12 o'clock. There was another question about the setup. I think that was answered directly. There is if you need to get set up on Timberscan Go, you can always use our contact form on our homepage to contact us and say, hey, I'd like to get on Timberscan Go, and we'll take care of you.